Hello, everybody. We're back with episode 6. This is the Angry Dave podcast. I am Dave. My next guest is my buddy MGM. That's short for Machine Gun Minos. Minos, introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? My name is Minos, aka Machine Gun Minos now, as I've been told.
MGM. Minos, we know each other through the practice of law, correct?
Yep, it's unfortunate that us two fools are lawyers.
We met, I guess we were at the same law firm for a brief period of time and remained friends over the years. And more recently, we are now Phillies buddies.
Yep. Go Yankees.
Fuck the Yankees. Minos is a weirdo who, lives in Philadelphia and sort of roots for the Philly team, except for he always has another team that he's really rooting for. We had to not be friends for a week when the Philadelphia Eagles played the San Francisco 49ers.
Hey, I mean, my mother wanted to fuck Joe Montana, so I'm a Niners fan. I mean, it was a family thing.
Right. Huh. Sounds interesting.
Who wouldn't want Joe Montana as a stepdad?
All right. So let's start from the beginning, Minos. How old are you?
38,
38 years old. Where were you born?
Williamsburg, Virginia.
Any brothers or sisters?
Yep, got two that I know of. I've got an older brother, older sister. My older sister is 52. She was my dad's first kid from his first marriage that I know of. My brother is from my mom's first marriage, and he's 50, also 52. Shit.
And then you are the only one between your mom and dad together, right?
Yep, I was the oops of 84 and the birth control failure.
Ah. Tell everybody about your parents' background. Where are they from?
So both my parents are from Crete in Greece. They grew up about 45 minutes away from each other, actually. When they were little kids, they randomly met each other when my dad vandalized my aunt's house, and my mom chased him down and kicked his ass.
Ah.
Then they never saw each other again until 1978 in Virginia, in the United States. And my dad was like, I gotta have you. And here I am.
So was Virginia a place where people from Crete immigrated to?
Well, originally, my dad and my mom's story are 100% different. My dad was on a coal ship that was being captained by my uncle Minos, and he snuck off in Galveston, Texas at some point in the 60s. Somehow made his way up to Virginia doing God knows what.
Yeah.
My mom got an engineering degree from a British institute and came to the United States and worked in Manhattan as an engineer until her and my brother's dad moved down to Virginia in the mid 70s.
So your mother was a good girl who liked bad boys? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
And Joe Montana.
And Joe Montana.
Talk about growing up in Virginia. How was that? What was your childhood like?
It was awesome. But I also split time. I mean, most of my summers were in Greece too.
Really?
So, my dad had a farm in Virginia. The area in Virginia that we grew up in Williamsburg was a lot of Greeks. So, I didn't learn English until I was about like 4 or 5 because everybody spoke Greek.
Right.
So, but growing up, man, I mean, learned to shoot guns when I was like 3, saw sheep and goats and fucking horses and all that shit. And then you go to Greece and you're growing up with your cousins in the ocean and all that kind of stuff. So I had a mixed childhood.
What's your fondest memory?
I would say my fondest memory was when my brother taught me how to swim in Greece. I was about 4 years old, and I got this little inflatable boat that he would push me out into like the deeper water with my little floaties on, and he just took them off and he threw me in the fucking water, and I started swimming, and then he started swimming away, so I had to learn,
Yeah.
and I thought it was the most fun ever. So yeah, ever since then I've been a aquatic figure.
I have a similar swim story, except for that mine was at Fourth and Shunk swim pool. My uncle Mark threw me into the 8 foot of water and said, "Swim, boy," and I did because I'm here. That's what happened.
And maybe we're just buoyant.
Maybe we are on a bit of the chubby side.
Hey, it's husky.
What were you like as a young kid? What was Minos like?
An asshole. I was an asshole. I was a troublemaker. Anything I could do that looked cute, but I was a baby terrorist in every sense of the word, man.
What was your relationship like with your older brother and sister?
So my older brother, me and him, still to this day, we are as close as can be. I mean, anywhere he went, I went. He practically raised me essentially. I mean, he loved being a big brother. My sister, love her to death. She's my sister, but my sister was kind of a cunt. I mean,
That's
there's no other way to put it. I mean,
hey,
she is what she is. Love
yeah,
her to death, but she is what she is.
yeah, yeah. Not you're not real close relationship with her.
So I always wanted to be around her, but
Yeah,
she was always just kind of like, because at the end of the day, as I'm 5 or 6 years old,
right.
she's 18,
Yeah,
making her way in the world, a kind of thing.
right.
And it was different. My brother, 12 years old when I was born, and he probably could have been a father. That's how good he was at raising me.
Any like funny stories, strange stories with having immigrant parents, those type of things?
Oh yeah, like I said, my dad snuck off a coal ship in Galveston, Texas, with another Greek buddy of his. I used to call him Uncle George, rest in peace, blood related. But
Yeah,
back in the day, my dad couldn't read English, so he was making spaghetti with meat sauce.
yeah.
And he thought it was the coolest thing that in America they sell meat sauce in a can. And finally, one day somebody told him Alpo is not human food. So,
That's amazing.
yep, tomato sauce, Alpo, and spaghetti. Well, spaghetti and meat sauce.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can't. Your dad couldn't imagine that they would sell canned dog food, right? It's not
No,
even something that anybody would think of.
no. And even growing up in Greece, I mean, not until maybe like 10 or so years ago did I ever see actual dog food on the shelves there. People would just feed the dogs what we ate.
Right, the scraps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so you're moving into middle school. How's life then? Tell us about that.
So going into middle school, I was, the chunky kid. Chunky kid always gets made fun of.
Yeah,
People said I looked like Peter from the Cosby Show. Didn't help that my mother used to dress me up in sweatpants all the time.
yeah.
And anytime I got a hole in a sweatpant, she wouldn't give me a new pair of sweatpants or some jeans or something. She would just sew a patch on it.
Jesus. Yeah,
Yeah, so that was me. But then when I got into like seventh grade in middle school, I got my first pair of Grant Hills. Airwalks and Vans were kind of cool.
yeah,
And I was good at soccer, so that helped me get more popular and more like friends and closer to people. And plus, I love talking and I love telling jokes.
yeah. Was it a cultural mix in your area?
Yeah, it was pretty mixed. Growing up, I mean, I was the token white boy in my crew, basically. I mean, the only time I had like white friends was kids on the soccer team.
Right.
I just could never get down with the Abercrombie and the weird metal music and 311 and shit like that. I mean, I kind of grew up as a hood rat. And I love it.
What were you like at that time? Still a little asshole?
No, no. At that point, I was more of how can I make money? Mom, buy me this CD burner. Mom, on Tuesdays, let's go to Best Buy so I can get the new CD and get these blank CDs so I could take orders. We were allowed to type our homework. And so, you know, I would just change the font, change a couple answers, and sell that shit to people.
Nice.
Because my mom's disability, I got a free school lunch,
Yeah.
but I would bring my own and then just sell my lunch to somebody else for half price. Anything I could do to try and make money, I was doing. That's all I really cared about. Because school was easy and down there. I mean, you'd have to be dumb as shit to not get straight A's.
All right. So moving into high school, what's life like at that time?
Ooh, that's when I started getting facial hair, and that's when I started seeing that fuzzy Channel 99 and starting to realize girls are hot.
Yeah.
And yeah, shit was just awkward. I mean, it was weird because like you go from you're in eighth grade and you're like the biggest kid in the school,
Yeah.
and then you go to freshman year in high school and you're like, oh shit, I'm a freshman again. Yeah, it's starting all over.
Right.
But shit changed. It was my first exposure to people like smoking weed.
Yeah.
I was never into that growing up. The only thing I did in high school, man, I played soccer, made sure my grades were good or my mom would beat my ass,
Yeah.
and I worked at the family deli.
Talk about that a little bit. What was going on there? Was it your brother's deli or your dad's deli?
Oh, it was my brother's deli. My dad at this point had basically quote unquote retired from whatever the hell he was doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, my brother was a general manager for Outback for many years, and so I got my first job at 13, bus as a busboy there. And then when he went out on his own to open up his own deli, I just started working there with him. So Almost every day after school, I was working the closing shift from 4 to 9.
How about your most fondest memory from high school time?
I think my fondest memory is going to revolve around soccer. It's going to revolve. I mean, there's one game I'll never forget. It was my junior year. No, no, no. You know what? Fast forward to my senior year. I tore my ACL right before the season started because of some fucker named Jay Parsons taking a cheap shot on me on my own team in practice.
Jesus.
But I forged my mom's signature on a piece of paper, and my coach was like, "Oh, you're cleared to play." 4.5 months after my ACL surgery, and I played in the game, the second half in the game, and had 8 saves.
Oh, wow.
And then the next day, when I go to physical therapist was like, "Please tell me there's another person, M. Galanos, in this world. Are you that big of an idiot?" I was like, that's my fondest memory.
How about any crazy stories, weird stories from high school?
Shit with me, dude? No. Because my brother being 12 and a half years older than me,
Yeah,
he remembers the shit that he got into.
right,
So he made sure I never got into any of it.
right.
And so if I wasn't playing soccer, he had me on the schedule of work.
Did you ever trip on a curb when you were trying to go kiss a girl in an alley and then end up with pebbles on your head?
No, we
No.
don't have alleys down in Virginia.
Oh,
Well, at least the only alley we have down in Virginia is this nightclub
yeah,
in downtown Newport News.
yeah,
Pretty hood.
yeah.
Best wings ever, though.
Any embarrassing stories you can think of?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's hear it.
Came into school November 1st with my, I think, sophomore year. Big ass bandage all around my head. And the first thing my buddy Mike Solero just yells out at everybody as I'm walking down the hallway, "Hey, yo, Minos got hit in the head with a pumpkin last night." So I was called Pumpkin for the next 2 weeks until I got the stitches out of my head from a soccer game. I got elbowed in the head and my shit was split open. It wasn't a pumpkin. God damn it.
How about nicknames? You have any nicknames growing up?
Oh yeah. The soccer team had tons of nicknames for me. I mean, Filet Mignos is my favorite one.
That's
Uh,
a good one.
Bean Pie, Wampa Stompa. I don't know where Wampa Stompa came from. Nos was the most common one. Just cutting off the MI from my name.
Yeah,
Or Wiggums, like Ralph Wiggums' son from The Simpsons.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fucking nicknames. Ewok, Munchie Chi, Pasta. I think chubby guys get nicknamed.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know how many times I got asked to do the truffle shuffle from the time I was like 6 years old?
Yeah. So you graduate high school. What do you do next? What's after high school?
College. Went to William and Mary.
Talk about those 4 years.
Loved William and Mary. My hometown school, only school I applied to. Met they're my brothers now. Best 4 years. I wish I would have taken more advantage of it because didn't have to study, didn't have to work, just whatever. All I did was play soccer, work at my brother's deli, party,
Yeah.
and then hope for the best on the test.
Favorite memory from that time?
Yeah, yeah. Again, revolving around soccer. 2005, our club soccer team. We at that point, I think we were nationally ranked at like seventh or some shit.
Yeah.
And we went to the Hokie Classic up at Virginia Tech, and we had like a skeleton team because of injuries. We only had, by the time we got to the final, we only had 13 healthy players, and the other one was the backup goalkeeper.
Wow.
So 5 games in 54 hours.
Okay.
Because our first game was Friday night and all through Sunday.
Yeah.
Winning that tournament was my favorite memory, and making 3 saves in a penalty shootout against Virginia Tech.
Wow. Pretty great one.
Still got the trophy at the house.
How about any embarrassing moments? Any embarrassing stories?
God, too many to recount. I mean, one involves me waking up with a dick drawn on my forehead.
Yeah.
Next, in the same room where my boy was plowing like a Greek friend of mine. Do not drink Southern Comfort and Jägermeister together.
That's funny. Anything crazy happen? Any crazy stories? Or were you still a good boy?
Still
Mostly.
somewhat of a good boy because what I was doing was I was an RA for my last 3 years because it would give me the room and board free,
Yeah.
and then I could use whatever refunds came from FAFSA and cash those checks and keep them.
Were you the asshole RA that took it very seriously and stole fucking people's beers?
Fuck no. I just asked that if they're drinking beers and I'm coming around and I have to do some dumb shit, just let me have one.
Yeah. So I had one RA that like she fucking took my whole case of beer
What a bitch.
and she turned me in. Come back.
Now I think the craziest story where I almost got fired as an RA was me and my buddy Matt. We're both still underage at this time.
Yeah.
We don't know how it got back to our boss, who, fun fact, was Michael Vick's RA back in the day at Virginia Tech. It got back to her that me and him stole a keg. Then we hopped on a bicycle and carried said keg, drunk, put said keg and bicycle in the back of my Ford Ranger, and drove back to our dorms. And then knocks on each one of our doors, brings us to the office. She's like, "You got one fuck up." And this is pushing it because this was almost 2.
Right. Right.
Don't ever fucking do it again. And I'm like, "Oh, thank God." And I was like, Jess, there was no beer in the keg. We weren't drinking. Yeah, sober people ride together on a bicycle with a keg, Minos. Yeah.
So you graduate William and Mary. You go right to law school?
Yep.
And where'd you go to law school?
Appalachian School of Law in Grundy, Virginia.
Ooh, Grundy, Virginia, huh?
The middle of bumblefuck nowhere.
Talk about Grundy, Virginia.
Good God.
What was that like?
That was probably the most racist place I had ever been.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
I think my second night there, I was still in my hood rat phase. I was wearing a XXX white tee, baggy sweat shorts, some Air Forces.
Yeah.
And we go to the one bar in the town. It was called Little Bighorn.
Yeah.
And it's a dry county, so all they sell is Budweiser. Literally, that was it. Budweiser on tap.
Yeah.
And a dude comes up to me in a Redskins jersey as we're playing pool, and he goes, "Why are you dressing like a?" And he drops the N word.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him. I'm like, "Oh boy, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto."
Yeah.
And
you're probably the most ethnic person they've ever seen in their lives.
Yeah, maybe. But the other 3 guys that lived like right around my apartment, who we're all still boys with today.
Yeah.
A Sicilian dude from South Philly.
Yeah.
You got 2 Persian dudes that were born in Iran. And then me. We were, we were the,
the ethnics.
Yeah, we were NATO, I guess, of that school.
Yeah, right. What was the school experience like?
It was a waste. Well, one, I wouldn't say it was a waste of 3 years, but the school portion of it was stupid. I mean, when you have professors that don't know what the hell they're talking about and they can't even read or write themselves.
Yeah.
Like our dean that taught our family law class, she took her final exam from Google. And all of us had it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she's a moron. But I made some really good friends there. Did a lot of volunteer work. There was a boarding school up there called Mountain Mission School.
Yeah.
And I coached a lot of soccer with those kids. Also became a JV high school coach for the Grundy high school team as well. But there was nothing else to do out there, dude. I went to the YMCA because that was the gym. I coached soccer, and that was it because there was nothing, and I mean nothing to do in that fucking town.
Any quiet time with goats or anything?
The first year I moved in.
Yeah.
So mind you, I chose this law school because it was the cheapest one I got into. It was only $22,000 a year.
Right.
My apartment was a 2-bedroom apartment, all utilities included, $600 a month.
Jesus. Well, what year is this?
06.
Yeah, so it's okay.
And that was my rent the whole time, 06 through 09.
Yeah.
But like, there was an empty field next to me, and then there was the rest of the trailer park. But there were 2 goats that were, chained up and leashed in that field until a coyote had his way with them.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And then the January of my second semester, the meth lab at the corner blew up. And I still have pictures on my Facebook from it to this day. Rest in peace to the dog.
RIP. You graduate Appalachia Law School, Grundy, Virginia, and what do you do next?
Move to South Philly, lock myself in a room, study for the bar exam.
What brought you up to Philadelphia?
My Uncle Jimmy. The firm that me and you met each other. Yeah, he basically said when I went to law school, I was like, "Hey, Malaka, come work for me." And that was all the convincing I needed.
How long you been a lawyer now?
Damn, 14 years?
14 years.
Fuck.
Talk about those last 10 years or so. Get us up to date.
In the practice of law?
In general.
Oh, just in general?
Yeah.
Shit. So in the last 10 years, I became a better lawyer, discovered my strong addiction for firearms and bourbon,
Yes.
lost both my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's about it. And discovered that dating people, I was with a girl for about close to 6 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, I realized, because her and I, we went our separate ways. We're still good friends. But girls since then, oh my God, man, you meet them on Tinder or some shit like that. You better double check that they don't have a husband. Found that out the hard way. Other than that, man, it's just me. I work, take care of my dogs, go to the gym, go to sports games,
Yeah.
stay quiet, stay out of trouble.
When did you lose your dad? What year was that?
2010.
Yeah.
Found out he had a brain tumor in early August of that year, and he was gone in September.
Yeah, really fast.
Oh yeah.
Talk about that, what I felt.
Oh man, it sucked. When I first got that call from my stepsister, probably like in the middle of the night, and she was real vague. She was like, "Call this doctor tomorrow." I can't tell you. Call the doctor the next day, and the doctor tells me your father has a glioblastoma in his brain. And I Google that as I'm on the phone with him, and I see that it's basically like anybody over 60 that has that, 97% chance you're going to die. And I was in my office that morning. My buddy Ed, who at that time, we were cool, but we weren't like close friends.
Right.
He walks by and he just looks at my face and he just knows something is up, because at the end of the day, even though I work, I'm still a clown. I still like to joke.
Right.
Yeah, it just, in a way, it forced me to grow up. I was 26 at the time, brand new lawyer. I was making good money, didn't have many bills. And then it was just like, snap, your world changed.
Yeah. Talk about that, how it changed.
Had to grow up, had to be the man. My sister, stepsisters, stepmom, fuck her, by the way, all look to me. What to do? What's this? What's that?
Yeah.
And the reason I say fuck her is because she sued my father's estate because for the elective share, because she felt that I was only my father's son for money. But yet she sues me for more money and the house and the property. So, but throughout that time, through the whole process, you grow up. You can't be an idiot. You got to talk with estate attorneys. You got to learn the business of his real estate stuff that he was doing.
And then you lost your mom more recently. What year?
Yeah, April 21 of 2021.
Oh, it's just coming up on 2 years, huh?
Yep.
Talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, that one sucked. That one was doctors thinking that they know more, that they know everything, and nobody else could ever possibly give them any ideas about their body. My mother was disabled since '89 with a spinal injury, and including the August of 2020 surgery where she had her entire spine fused. She had 18 different surgeries on her spine from 1989 to 2020. After that August of 2020 surgery was the first time that since I was 5 years old, that I saw my mom pain free, and it was awesome. She was doing great, recovering, getting stronger, loving it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, her older brother, who was 10 years older than her, he was 85 at the time, he passed away suddenly. It's weird saying suddenly to somebody that's 85,
Right.
but he was somebody that's like larger than life.
Right.
It was impossible that this guy could ever die.
Yeah.
And that hit her really hard.
Yeah.
And that's when her self-esteem and her just feeling of, self-worth really took a turn. She stopped cleaning her dentures as much. She stopped taking care of herself as much.
Yeah.
And, you know, we know now that around that time is when she developed some type of infection. And even though we were telling multiple doctors, hey, she's having these pains that are going up her neck, into her head, why don't you check for an infection? She's got a pain down in her foot that she never had before. Check for clots, anything like that. And the doctor's like, oh, no, 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 it's from the surgery, blah, blah, blah. We would know. And here, let's give her more trigger point injections, which are all bullshit. You know that?
Yeah.
And then we finally took her to the surgeon that did her fusion and essentially said, hey, she's not leaving until you guys run a blood test. Well, come to find out, She had an infection in her blood. She had multiple clotting issues in her legs, her lungs, and her also she had a birth defect in her heart, which was not helping. She had multiple mini strokes, which was the pains in her head and neck from the spores from the infection.
Yeah.
And she was on the road to recovery, though, after about a month in the hospital until, met our great government, Medicare, Medicaid, decided, well, we're not going to pay for this anymore. All she needs is IVs, so let's just send her to these nursing homes where everybody's dying during COVID.
Yeah.
And when she went there, they basically didn't treat her right. And one night in the middle of the night, one of the spores of the infection that, she was being treated for caused her femoral artery near her groin to explode.
Oh boy.
And that next morning, they rushed her into surgery. And the doctor calls my brother and tells him what's happening. And then my brother calls me on April 1st, and the phone's just silent, and I just hear him crying. And he goes, they can't save her. And essentially, I was going down to Virginia as much as I could possibly be, and I was staying in the hospital from morning until they kicked me out, just staying with her until she died. I mean, unfortunately, both of my parents were holding my hand when they died, and it was just me in the room because I couldn't get. My brother was at work and he couldn't answer the phone. My sister was dead asleep in her room when my dad died in hospice care in his house. So, that's two images I'll never lose, and
Yeah.
it just sucks.
Talk about what's going on in your life now and what you're thinking for the next 5 or 10 years.
Right now, I'm just trying to make as much money as possible, man. At the end of the day, I am a personal injury attorney. I'm not on a billboard. I'm not one of those guys that's behind an ambulance, though. But I do take cases, but I do take the right cases. I don't take any case. I'm not one of those guys that's going to sit there and try to say, "Oh, my client is her life is ruined when, she was barely tapped in an accident."
Right.
Because, I've seen my mother battle through this shit, so I know what a real injury is. If you're not really injured, fuck off.
Yeah.
But, I'm just, trying to get my health back to where it was because when each of my parents died, I hate to say it, I drank a lot
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you numb yourself,
Yeah.
and trying to get back over that, handle their estates, be a good brother, be a good godfather to my three god kids. And that's about it, man.
How many nieces and nephews you have?
So my nephew from my sister is going to be, which is bonkers for me saying this, he's going to be fucking 30 years old in November.
Uh,
And then my godson from my brother is going to be 9.
okay.
Those are my direct niece and nephew. And then in Greece, we're
Yeah.
like, we fuck like rabbits over there. So I got like fucking cousins and nieces
Yeah.
and everybody. Every time I go back to Greece, I find a new relative.
Yeah. Are they at least having sex with other people, like not each other? Mostly.
In the village, man, sometimes you don't know who you're related to. Because I am not going to lie. There was one time that I was on the beach at my godfather's house, and I see a girl walk by, and I'm like, "Damn, she's fine." And that was it. And I walked back up the hill and went back to the house, and I was reading my book during the siesta time, and then all of a sudden I see this same girl opening the gate, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" Yeah, she's apparently like my niece that my godmother was like, "You don't remember her?" And I'm like, "When did I meet her?" And she goes, "In 1996 when Andrea got married." And she goes, "I was a baby." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know who the fuck this is. Where do you live?" And she's like, "Jersey." I'm like, the fuck?
Oh, that's great.
I thought you were gonna ask if my family was fucking sheep.
No, I just assumed they were. It's kind of a pastime, isn't it? Is it? Greeks fuck everything. Isn't that kind of why the whole empire went down? Isn't it?
That means no.
They like ruled the world at one point, and then they just start fucking and forgot about everything. The Romans did the same thing, so it's.
Yeah, I mean, well, they copied us.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with that.
We got better olive oil though.
The names of your gods are better too. Really,
Zeus.
Zeus is the greatest. Um, all right, let's talk about your hobbies. Guns. You like those things?
Strippers.
Strippers. Yeah, let's talk about the guns first. We'll get to the strippers.
Love guns. Love guns.
What is it? What's the obsession?
I don't know. I think it's something from my father's side. My dad was in the military. He was high up in the Greek military before he started working coal ships.
Yeah,
All the all the men in our village, because vendettas are still real in the villages and shit like that, in parts of Greece where there's no cell phones and shit.
yeah.
Um, guns are real. Everybody loves them. You get married over in Greece, there's you're just popping off rounds in the air everywhere. And shot my first gun. It was my dad's 22 around when I was 3 years old. I couldn't even hold it up without falling. And as soon as I turned 21 and could get my own carry permit, got my own. And then when dad passed away, I took his collection, and then it just kept growing. And then it became, ooh, that's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should buy that.
Mm-hmm. How many guns you have?
Do you really want to know?
I do want to know. Yeah,
51.
51.
Don't forget the flamethrower.
Oh, and a flamethrower. Yeah. How many things that can kill you do you have?
I don't know. I
Uh,
mean, I have steak knives. I mean, do those count?
no, no, no. Weapons of war. How many weapons of war do you have?
Well, I do have a replica of Achilles' sword from the Trojan Wars.
I think that counts.
Yeah, that's got to count. Crossbows, compound bows.
All right. This is not a political podcast, but I have to ask you your opinion on gun control.
Well, one, gun control is holding it with two hands.
Ah, ah.
But two, you need reasonable gun control because at the end of the day, as somebody that loves guns,
Yeah.
I don't want to ever have to use my gun on somebody.
Yeah.
So I saw a special on National Geographic a couple weeks ago about ghost guns, and there was a guy out there that basically invented the ghost guns and saying, "Oh yeah, I don't care that people get these and this and that and all. I don't like that shit. Yes, we all have a right to own a gun,
Yeah.
but you know what? If you're fucking nuts,
Yeah.
you should not have a gun. If you beat your wife, you should not have a gun. Like stuff like that. It's common sense.
Yeah.
Because there's crazy motherfuckers in the world. Like I would never move to Jersey because fuck that.
Right. Yeah, because you're literally like almost impossible to have a permit to carry.
Half my shit would be illegal.
Yeah.
But you do need some gun control. And you know what? Let's just say they want to come out and say you need a psych examination or a psych eval uh, to renew your concealed carry permit. That's fine. I mean, shit. I'll
Right.
take it. I'll pass it. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are all like, "No, that's infringing on my rights." Shut up. You
Right.
don't even know what the fucking Second Amendment is, you dumbass. You just say 2A because you can't even say amendment.
All right. All right. Agree with you. I don't think it's, first of all, I don't even think it's practical to ever think that we're going to get people to give up all their guns, right? This is not England. It just isn't. But,
And the law, and here's my biggest thing.
yeah.
Hey, let's put in more laws. Well, guess what? There's already laws against murder, but motherfuckers still do it. You know
Right.
who breaks laws? Criminals. You know who follows them? Law-abiding citizens like me.
Right. The psych evals would help. But we've talked about it before in the past. My idea is like a DMV process, like a Department of Motor Vehicles, something like that, where you have to take a test and then you have to renew the license every once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a reasonable thing.
Prime example. I mean, my first concealed carry permit was in Virginia.
Yeah.
To get that, I had to go through a 6-hour course. I had to qualify with the firearm to show that I didn't have like shaky hand syndrome. I don't know if that is a thing, but
Right.
then I had to go before a judge, get interviewed by that judge, and character questions. I mean, that was like a 30-minute process with that judge.
Right.
Background checks, all that stuff. And then I got my carry permit.
Yeah.
Here in Philly,
Yeah, you
Oh my! You go online, you
Yep.
fill out some forms, you click OK. 15 minutes later, you get an email saying approved.
remember we did it when we were drunk one night.
Yeah,
For me.
at the damn baseball at the ballpark.
Yeah, that happened. I actually never picked it up, but my relationship with guns is a complicated one. Sort of. I've been a hunter since I was a kid, and guns have always been around. And my uncle blew a hole in his chest with one of my dad's shotguns, and I killed a fucking dog once by accident. So I mean,
Shout out to Ed as well.
shout out to Ed. Oh, that's a story. I don't know that
We can't tell that
we
one.
can't tell that story, but Ed's got a really fucking bad uh, dog story. Not so much of an accident, maybe. I don't know.
There was a car involved somehow.
Oh God, it's an inside joke on a podcast. It's not good. Ooh, let's move
To be continued. You
to
got to
be
tune in
continued
for the
for that.
Minos and Ed version of this podcast.
But yeah, I mean, we need to do something, right? And we might not need more laws necessarily, but we we certainly need to start prosecuting people with straw purchases and that type of thing. That kind of shit we just don't get into and we let happen. I mean,
Our own sheriff's department, there's motherfuckers in there selling their guns that they confiscate.
yeah, right.
What are you going to do with that when the law enforcement ain't? I mean, it's not the law enforcement. It's the Philly Sheriff's Department. That's a corrupt ass fucking.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
But then you also got Let 'em Loose Larry, our DA over here, who he's buddies with more criminals, and he'd just rather prosecute police. So fuck you, Larry Krasner. If you're listening to this, fuck you, suck a dick.
Suck a dick. And again, this is
Put
not a
people in jail.
This is not a political podcast. I'm going to say one thing about Larry Krasner. I voted for him the first time around because I do believe in criminal justice reform. However, I don't believe in keeping violent criminals on the street. There is criminal justice reform, and then there is something different than what he's doing, and he is like legitimately anti government to some degree, and it's not helping our city, and it's particularly not helping poor communities where you're letting these criminals out and they're going back into these communities and terrorizing these communities. It's not liberalism. That's not liberalism. It's not helping anybody. It just isn't.
Every time somebody gets arrested in Philadelphia and they release their name,
Yeah.
anybody listening to this, go to the Unified Justice System website, search that name, and look at the rap sheets. Because I almost guarantee you, every single person that has been arrested for a violent crime in the last five years has gotten a sweetheart deal recently.
Yeah. Not good. It's not good for our city.
No, I mean, when you have kids like the other day, what was it in Strawberry Mansion where 7 people got shot?
Yeah. 2 little kids.
A 2-year-old got shot. 3 kids hop out of a stolen car in these shiesty masks, head to toe in hoodies, pants, and blue gloves, which is a common theme now, the blue medical gloves, and just start spraying shots at people and not even hit one person that they at least intended to shoot.
Yeah.
Fuck, at least take a class, goddammit.
Yeah. And that's, and letting those kids out, who you helping? You helping the neighborhood?
No.
Who you helping?
No, what you have is you're helping out the people that run the neighborhood.
That's right. Yeah, the criminals.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. No more politics.
Yeah, I hate them all anyways.
Let's talk about strip clubs.
Yes.
Do you like them?
I love them. I was a judge in the 2nd annual Platinum Pole Awards.
Yes, you were. I forgot about that.
It was amazing. Got all the Captain Morgan and Choco tacos I wanted. Shout out to Alan Drazen.
What's your favorite thing about a strip club?
It's going to sound weird. It's going to sound like your typical whatever, but just the conversations at times, man. At the end of the day, if I wanted to sit there and go get a back dance and go get something weird, something inappropriate happen, I would just stay home, grab a sock, and watch Pornhub.
Right.
And it'd be free.
Right.
Sometimes you just want to go to a bar, have a couple drinks with your boy, watch the game, and see a titty. There's nothing. Have a conversation with a beautiful girl, and then go your separate ways. She doesn't like you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Don't try and sit there and take a girl home and be like, I wanna take you out to dinner, baby. No, no. Shut up. Just stop. Have a good conversation. If you're taking up her time, give her at least $10.
and we're certainly not talking about any strip clubs in Philadelphia, but Chris Rock once said that there is no sex in the champagne room from things that you may have heard over the years. Is that true or untrue? There can be.
Define champagne room. Is there champagne? I'm going. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to defer on that. Can definitely say I have never taken part in any of that. Because one, I'm kind of a germaphobe in a way.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if a stripper tries to do anything, I'm like, where has your mouth been?
Yeah.
Don't. No.
I,
No.
I
I'm
agree.
sorry. 38 years. Got no STDs. Knock on wood. I want to keep it that way. Yeah.
You are a lover of food as well?
Yes. Well, I'm fat. Fuck. You
Yeah.
don't get that way by like eating a salad.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. You like to cook very large steaks
Yes.
often.
Often. I actually have a some venison pork loin marinating right now that I plan to fry up in my skillet when I get home tonight.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
And tomorrow is going to be a bison ribeye.
Tell me about a drunk eating story now.
Last winter, I got plastered off of a bottle of Basil Hayden. And I didn't realize that I accidentally made 3 orders of the same Taco Bell order that included 12 soft tacos and a bunch of chalupas. And then I blacked out and passed out on my couch. I woke up that next morning, went to open my front door, and I see 3 bags of frozen Taco Bell in between my storm door and front door. And I was like, oh boy. Hit up Uber and was like, oh, it was a mistake. So they wiped off 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then I had Taco Bell for like 5 straight days, dude. It was amazing.
They probably banged on your door. You had no idea.
Probably.
Let's talk about some advice. You were talking to 18-year-old MGM. What would your advice be to 18-year-old you?
Don't listen to your dad when he says the banks will never fail and put your money in Apple and Google.
What do you think that 18-year-old Minos would think of you, 38-year-old Minos?
That I probably should have spoken up more and not been so reserved in my early 20s.
Talk to me about that. What do you mean?
I've always been naturally shy.
Yeah.
You know, when if I don't know anybody, I usually just kind of play the wall and just read the room. Once I open up, good to go. But a
Right.
lot of times, it's kind of like that analogy. It's kind of like, no, that story that most guys have, right? You're crushing on a girl, but you can't tell she's flirting, but you can't tell she's just being nice. You don't want to be the creep. Well, I never spoke up.
Yeah.
Fast forward 10 years from when I was like maybe 21, 22. You have friends of mine that are now married with kids and shit like that. They're like, I really had the biggest crush on you at that point in time. I'm like, damn, I thought so. But I was an idiot.
Yeah.
Because I was.
Yeah. I got lucky and found a girl that liked me at 18, so it was easy, but I was always that way. I never spoke up. And, you know, girls would be like, I liked you. And I had no idea. I
Shit.
was,
A friend of mine recently told me she was last year telling a story about like my prom date, which was awful. I took like maybe an hour in, I just took her home in the limo. I was like, nah, I'm done with this. Because my girlfriend and I had broken up like a month earlier.
yeah.
So I was just on scraps. Well, this friend of mine was just kind of like, I didn't go to prom. I was hoping you would ask. God damn it.
Um,
What?
yeah.
Where was the women empowerment stuff when we were 17?
Yeah, it didn't exist.
No.
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 Um,
And back then, all we had was AOL Instant Messenger. So it'd be like, do you like me?
and then we got to college and we got told don't rape anybody.
Oh, yeah.
The date rape thing, remember? Yeah.
Dude, it was.
If being on a date means it's any different than rape.
Yeah, I mean, my freshman roommate got falsely accused and he was expelled.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, girl essentially made up a story to get back at her boyfriend. And he took the fall. And then she recanted everything about a year later.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I never hooked up with anybody at my college
Really?
because I was so petrified of that story. Because they would tell everybody if someone's been drinking, it is technically statutory rape. And so I was petrified. I
Yeah,
was
man.
like, you know what? I'm not messing with it.
Yeah,
So I was 20 minutes from home, so I would just go back home to Newport News and
yeah. I I literally Laura almost didn't want to date me because I was so fucking creepy about it. Like I was like, "Are you sure?" Every step of the way, I was terrified of getting called a date rapist. Like I would touch her, I'd be like, "Is this okay?" And then I would move my hand a little bit. Is this okay? It was fucking ridiculous. Like I was so scared, so scared. So those talks did work for some kids.
but at the end of the day though, I do pride myself on being a gentleman
Yeah,
and I never want to make anybody feel uncomfortable.
yeah,
So
dude.
that is also part of the thing of I don't sit there and make these first moves even
Yeah,
if I'm with a girl. It's one of those awkward Instagram videos where you just kind of like scoot over a little bit, or
yeah,
right when you put your hand on her leg and your other hand starts to shake to see if she's gonna like flip out or if she's gonna accept it.
yeah, yeah. All right, let's talk about relationships. What's it like being? What was it like being your mom?
Well, being my mom or my
Yeah,
relationship with mom,
no, no. What was so? Yeah, what was it like being your mom? What was she said about you?
that she was proud. I mean, she was tough, but I always there's friends of mine now that still will tell the story of elementary school 5th grade year. I forged some grades on because back in the day on Thursdays we had to take our schoolwork home.
Yeah,
Parents had to initial it with the grades, and we had to take it back.
yeah,
Well, I thought you couldn't see whiteout on notebook paper, and so I changed a couple grades, and mom just signed them, and I thought I got away with it. Well, that next day, mom, who was the room mom back then, comes to school with cupcakes. But then they also call me to the front of the class, and she whoops my ass in front of everybody because of that, and then gives everybody cupcakes but me,
but you.
but me.
Ah,
And my 5th grade teacher is my brother's banker still to this day, and everybody at Town Bank in Newport News knows this damn story.
what was your relationship like with your mom?
It was great. Love her to death. I mean, like I said, she was tough.
Yeah,
She was very tough, and she would whoop my ass every time I did something wrong, and I deserved it. Every single time I screwed up, I deserved it. But like I said, she was disabled since 1989.
yeah,
She put my brother and I before anything in her life,
yeah,
even before her own health. My mom could do it, she would do it. Growing up, she would take me to go see matinee movies on weekends because in the summer at that time, you didn't have social media, you didn't have all these video games and all that. She did everything that she could to give me the childhood and just to be a kid. But she also wanted me to be a good man when I grew up.
right.
And that was a lot of it was her.
How about your dad?
He would be proud as well. My dad was one of those dads that he wouldn't tell you he was happy with you. He wouldn't tell you he was proud,
Yeah,
but he would always push you. And then you hear from other people
yeah,
stories he would tell them,
yeah,
and it would just a lot of these stories I learned after he had passed away.
yeah,
I mean, there's only one time that I remember him telling me how proud he was, and that was I think it was like early 2010 when I had all my diplomas, all my bar certificates, all the bar admissions that I had, and I just took them to the house and I threw them on the dining room table, and he opened every one and read them, and he's like, "I'm proud of you, even though you should have been a lawyer down here in Virginia and blah blah all
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of stuff." But
Right,
like, he wanted me to be a man, not a
right.
city boy, is what he called me, even though city boy has a different meaning nowadays.
How about your relationship with him?
It got better as I got older because my parents split up when I was around 5.
Yeah,
And so Williamsburg and Newport News were about 30 minutes away, but back then it was still a long distance phone call.
right.
So I would spend weekends with my dad. Some weekends he wasn't able to. But then when I got my driver's license, spent more time with him. And then going to college being only 5 minutes away instead of 30 minutes away, I had dinner with him at least twice a week. I was there all the time.
Nice.
And getting older and becoming more of a man helped me understand more things.
Yeah,
And now at the age that I am right now, even my sister and my mother a few years ago, my brother, they're like, you are your dad, minus having kids, but you are your dad. And like now I understand so much more, and I just wish I had more time with him to like. What else is there to talk to him? Just like,
Yeah. To
but
explore that more.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, I was 26 when he died.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not even there yet.
Nah,
You're still searching. You know. I mean,
think
I didn't start to become a man really until I was 30, and that's because my son was born. Before that, I mean, you didn't really have to.
no, because nobody's looking up to you. I mean, nobody relies on you for survival,
Right. Yeah.
except for my 3 dogs.
What's it like being your dog?
Spoiled as fuck. All my dogs are spoiled as fuck. If they're on the couch and their blanket is not covering them, they'll make a noise to get my attention to cover them. They get treats. If I cook a steak, there's an extra steak that I don't season that I cook for them, and I cut it up and give it to them.
You don't season it.
Nope.
Why not? Oh, I wouldn't want to hurt my dog.
Sensitive stomachs, man. Marlowe's 14 years old, and if you want to clean up the diarrhea that comes out of his ass after that, you can do it.
Marlo's 14 years old.
Yep.
If Marlo gets sick tomorrow and you can extend his life for 3 months, would you spend $10,000?
Of course, I did it with Roxy. I tried with Roxy. Roxy was Marlowe's younger sister.
Yeah.
February 5th, 2015. She just started screaming out of nowhere, and I took her to Penn in the middle of the night. It was probably like 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, these young active dogs, probably like like a herniated disc or something like that." And then later on in that afternoon, I was actually in a deposition with John Field. We weren't at the same firm; it was just another case we were on.
Yeah.
And I get a call from Penn saying she has spinal meningitis. We can try this. I'm like, do whatever. They're like, it's going to be about 7,200. Do it. I don't give a fuck. They're
Yeah.
like, well, we need your credit card. Okay.
Yeah.
And I tried it, and then a few hours later, they were like, you might want to come say goodbye.
Uh,
And she would have been 4 a month later.
yeah.
And she was my little girl. She was only like 12 pounds. And man, that broke my heart.
Yeah. Even an elderly dog, though?
Yes. That's my guy, man. Marlo's been with me now. I mean, shit, since he was 2, dude. He he's been with me through a lot of shit.
No, yeah, no, I, I hear you, buddy. I like to ask that question because different people have different thoughts about their animals. I know you love them.
I think animals are better than people.
What's it like being your brother? What would your brother say about you?
Well, I mean, I hate to sound redundant, but he'd say that he's proud
Yeah.
because he came up here in October, took him to my office and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
now it hits a little different without mom being around.
Yeah.
But he also, with mom's disability, my brother essentially raised me, and just to see who I am now versus the young asshole that used to try and sneak beers at his bar to what I am now, going to bed at like 9:30 on a Friday.
Right.
He would say that I've matured and I've grown up, and I've become a good dude and
Yeah.
not just an idiot.
And you got a really good relationship with him still.
Very good.
How about being your friend? Doggy daycare Ed say about you.
That one, he's tried to kill me a couple times, flipping golf carts, shooting me in the ass with a BB gun, blowing up a fire pit by accident. But any of my good friends, no matter what, will always say that some days I don't feel like talking, some days I'm not the most responsive.
Yeah.
But if you ever call, I'm there. I'm loyal sometimes to a fault. And I've always been that way. I always try and see the good in people, and that'll never change.
What would your bosses say about you?
My current bosses would probably say, we're paying you a lot, but they're also really good friends of mine. But prior bosses would say, you're good at what you do, but you also, my former boss would say that I brought life to the office.
Yeah.
Because, like I've always said, I'm like a class clown.
Yeah.
I always joke around. I can be serious when I need to, but at the end of the day, why always be that stuck up asshole lawyer? I
Right.
mean, there's so many of them. I mean, nobody that ever meets me ever believes I'm a lawyer. They're like, "You're a lawyer? The
Yeah.
fuck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have a stick up my ass. Weird, ain't it?"
Yeah. Well, most people don't think I'm a lawyer because I'm dusty. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, I just trimmed my beard. I mean, about 2 weeks ago, it was touching my nipples.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to be pretentious. It doesn't get you anywhere.
No. And at the end of the day, there's so many lawyers that sit there and they fight it out in depositions and get all angry and
Yeah,
like, why? You're doing a job. I'm doing a job. It's not personal. If you make it personal, I'm gonna fuck you. But
right.
like, I'm trying to make some money.
Yeah,
You're trying to make some money.
right. Yeah, it aligns. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ask your questions, I'll ask my questions, and we'll go home.
Yeah. At the end of the day, let's fuck the insurance companies.
Yeah, charge a higher billable hour. It's
Yeah,
fine.
dude. Thursday and Friday, I was in depositions for an assault case. 2 witnesses from 9:30 to 4:30 both days.
Yeah, two
Be-
witnesses, huh?
2 witnesses, a younger defense attorney from a private firm in the city,
Yeah.
getting his billables up. I made sure to call him out on the record. I don't know how many damn times. And I'm like, good. Give me your adjuster so I can tell him about your dumb questions asking my client what's his high school GPA when he got punched in the face after being called the N-word.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, his high school GPA is relevant.
Yeah, right. Right.
Dumbass.
How about who would you say with the most impactful person in your life has been?
My brother and his godfather, my uncle Jimmy Zaris.
So tell me about those. First, your brother. Why?
So my brother, I mean, like I said, everywhere he went, I went. When he was working at my dad's restaurant, when he was like 14 or 15,
Yeah.
I would go to the restaurant with him. I would walk all the way there, and I would sit on a step stool right next to the grill and watch him cook for his entire shift. I wouldn't move. I would get some chocolate milk every now and then, but I would sit there and watch him cook. That was my thing.
Yeah.
When he got off the school bus, I was there with our dog waiting. Soccer. He was my coach for most of my life. The reason I'm such a good cook, I learned a lot from him, but I also learned from dad and mom and other stuff.
Right.
Helped train his cooks when he opened up his most recent restaurant. I mean, he asked me, he's like, hey, can you take a week off from work to come work for me?
Yeah, I remember that.
And then, my Uncle Jimmy, when I first met him, I think I was maybe about 6 or 7. This was shortly after his mother had passed away. Because his mother and my mother were from the same hometown in Crete, in Greece, Ios Nikolaos. And when my mother first came to the United States, that's who she lived with. And when Jimmy Zaris was 14 years old, he baptized my brother. And when I first met him at around like 6 or 7, he was living over here at 12th and Rittner. And he told me he was a lawyer. And I thought he was the coolest dude ever, anyways. And I told him, I want to be just like you. Well, now look at me.
Yeah, right.
The only thing I don't have is kids and a wife and a big ass house and $1 million in my in my bank account.
That's it. But we're the same otherwise.
Yeah. I got more guns though.
Yeah, definitely have more guns. How about your thoughts on kids? You still interested in having them? Anything like that?
I mean, I'm 38 now.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I know everybody's like, "Oh, you could have kids until you're like 70," and then I'm like, "One, I don't want to live to be 70. Fuck that shit. I just want to get to 68 because I can say I beat my dad by a year."
Right.
But in terms of having kids, I've always wanted to be a father, and if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to go out there and chasing it and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. I mean, because at the end of the day, if I'm gonna be a father, I also want to be a husband at the same time.
Right.
Don't want any of that other shit.
Yeah, that single dad shit.
Yep. But then I also think about I was the accident baby. My father was 41 when I was born, and at 26 I didn't have him anymore.
Yeah.
What happens if I die early?
Yeah.
And I leave my kid the same way that I felt? It runs through your mind. I know that's like one of those weird selfish thoughts and stuff like that.
No, no.
But it's a thought that runs through your head because I was still a freaking kid when he died.
Yeah, right. I hear you. So anything else you want to talk about your little life? As I keep telling everybody, your little life.
I mean, it kind of is a little life, man.
No.
After COVID, I mellowed out a lot. I mean, before COVID, I was at some establishments 3 to 4 times a week, and I was drinking a lot more. And
Yeah, we might have seen each other there a lot.
yeah,
during that time,
maybe.
ripping and roaring. No,
Yeah,
I'm okay. My wife knows where the hell I was. So
yeah,
it's not like I don't fucking hide anything.
yeah. I mean, and I would always get a booth for some fucking reason.
Yeah, I didn't get the boost.
Yeah, I was dumb. I was very dumb. But
I would have been happy to sit next to you at the bar stool.
I know, right?
but I'm
I
not
mean, I
paying.
never went to bed before midnight
Yeah,
ever,
yeah.
and then COVID happened, and I was like, "Wow, it is. I'm saving money. That is nice." And
Me,
then
Minos, I saved so much money during COVID that I bought another house. That's a fucking true story.
I had 27 guns at the time COVID started.
Oh God, I really did. We were going, me and Mikey Stakes. I think that's going to be his nickname when he does the podcast. We spent a lot of money for a couple of years there when I was going through my midlife crisis. I'm on the other end, partly because of COVID, partly because I was tired of going out.
COVID was like the rehab we needed.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, we kicked the habit.
Now we show up like once every 4 months, and it's like a reunion tour.
Yeah, if that, and it's just kind of like, hey man, we got to get out of here by like 9.
Tired.
I don't know how many times I helped them flip bar stools up.
There might or might not be videos of me on the pole at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Maybe or maybe not.
Speaking of that, I actually have a stripper pole that is brand new, still in the box in my house. If anybody listening to this podcast is interested,
For a low, low price.
I'll give it away. Just a bottle of bourbon.
I think I'm gonna put that in your the bio. All right, here we go. 20 questions. You ready?
Let's go for it, man.
All right. What makes you angry? It's the Angry Day podcast. I need to know what makes you angry.
What makes me angry?
Yeah.
Lying to me. Lying to me. You lie, you try to deceive me.
Yeah.
I may not call you out on it, but I'm
Yeah.
going to know. And the one day when you don't expect it, you're going to learn that I knew, and I'm going to fuck you over.
What makes you happy?
Titties.
Yes.
Besides titties, what makes me happy?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds fucked up, but money. I think I love money more than, aside from my family and my
Yeah.
dogs,
Yeah.
money. I think I love money more than I even love my guns.
Powerful message right there.
Yeah, I love money. Can't
What?
do shit without money.
Yeah. Is it that? Is just the security of it?
No, but at the end of the day, I know they say money can't bring you happiness, but you know what? I could be miserable, and I'd be more miserable eating fucking ramen than I would be if I was eating a ribeye with a lobster tail.
True. What makes you most proud?
That my friends know how loyal I am. That my word, I always keep my word. I don't lie to people. I don't break my word. If I say something, I mean it. And I'm a straight shooter. I'm blunt. It may be harsh, but I'm gonna tell you what's on my mind. You're not gonna have to guess what I'm thinking.
Yeah. What's most important to you?
My family, then money.
And the dogs.
Yeah.
The dogs after money.
Nah, the dogs are before the money.
All right.
But if I did have a lot of money, I'd have a bigger property and I'd probably have a lot more dogs.
You'd be like the male version of the cat lady.
Try to rescue all the dogs, man. All dogs are good. Save the dogs.
Save the dogs. Tell us about a time you shit yourself.
The last time I actually shit myself that I know of,
Yes.
I was still in diapers, and the only reason I know this is because my mother was at the dining room table talking with another Greek person, and I went to her and I said chocolate, but really I had reached down my diaper and I gave her a chunk of my shit, and she ate it.
You have never shit yourself as an adult.
No,
You don't ever have
I've never had a shark because I don't trust them.
no skid marks. No skid marks.
Wear black underwear.
Then I need like an embarrassing pee or fart story.
Oh, the fart story I know. Fart story was when I was first year working at Mincer Sarowitz, and I started this new type of protein powder.
Yeah.
And man, it was bad. Christy Fisher was 3 doors down from me, and she walked all the way over, and she says, "If you don't stop this, I'm gonna go tell your uncle, and I'm gonna tell HR." When I say those farts were bad, that shit was bad. It was
And you didn't get any skid marks from those farts?
black boxer briefs, dude. There might have been. I
Uh,
didn't look.
how about pissing yourself? You ever piss yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I pissed myself one time at an Eagles game because I was wearing so many layers because it was so fucking cold.
Yeah.
Right when it's like when your dick senses you're within a foot of a urinal, the timer starts. And when you're wearing 4 layers of pants and you're trying to get that shit undone, sometimes it happens, man. And you know what, though? It was a little warm. Didn't feel that bad at that point.
Right.
Or in soccer games growing up, if you had to piss during the middle of a game and it was raining, fucking piss.
I have several piss stories about me pissing at second base playing in a baseball game. It's in the middle of the inning. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not trying to hold it in because then I can't pay attention. So I just let it rip. I don't fucking care.
Did it pull up in your cup?
I don't wear cups, buddy.
Did you slide head first?
Done both. Yeah.
Doesn't it hurt when
Well, yeah. I
your
mean,
shit bounces off the
listen,
fucking?
I'm a fucking man's man. I take that shit. I can't wear a cup. Can't do it. I don't like jewelry. I don't like stuff on me. I don't like it. I never even wore a cup when I played football.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo. I didn't even wear a cup when I caught when I was a catcher in high school.
Oh, that's playing with fire.
Yeah, I got wrecked a couple times, but you know,
Hey, you still had 2 kids.
still had 2 kids. I'm still 2 for 2 on the unprotected sex monitor. 2 for 2.
I don't know how many for how many, but I'll just say I'm batting 1,000 on not having.
What do you like least about me?
What do I like least about you?
Yeah.
I don't even know. What would it be? Oh, that you have the voice of a fucking angel.
Shut up.
No, the least about you is you work too damn much.
Yeah. Well, I'm stopping that. I hope nobody from work is listening.
Oh, and also, I'm jealous of your hairline.
Yeah. It is a wonderful hairline. I have like 1 or 2 things going for me. Hairline is top of the list.
Like your forehead is only like an inch and a half tall.
Yeah, it's a 2 head.
Mine goes back to the middle of my head. I look like fucking RoboCop.
Yeah, 5 head. You have
Yeah.
a 5 head.
I mean, Murphy from.
What's the most unreasonable thing about you?
If I go on a date with a girl and she orders a steak and she gets it cooked, anything more than medium, I'm out.
You're done.
Done.
Forget it.
Yep.
Is that like the litmus test or whatever?
Yeah, it may be a little harsh, but like at the end of the day, when you get to 38, man, you gotta come out guns blazing. You gotta figure out what this shit's gonna be and cut it because I ain't got that much time.
Yeah, can't waste your time. I hear you. I mean,
I mean,
destroying a steak is fucking
yeah,
disgusting.
a simple lie that could be something stupid, or no, the best one, the text message the next morning at around 9:30. Oh, I'm sorry, I fell asleep. Bullshit. Blocked.
Yeah,
Hey, come on now, you get out of here.
yeah, right. Best advice you ever got?
From Jimmy Zaris, if you always do the right thing, you never have to worry.
How about the worst advice?
Probably my dad when he told me about the stocks and how the banks will never fail. At one point in time, my dad had 7.2 million in his brokerage account, and when he passed away, it was down to less than 400,000.
Oh wow,
Washington Mutual, Fannie, Freddie,
wow!
all that.
Because it crashed
Yep.
in '02 or whatever. It was?
Oh 08.
'08.
Yep. And I had told him around that time, like my freshman year of college, I was like, Dad, everybody's got these iPod things. Apple, I think, is going to be real good. And anytime you open up the browser at school, it goes straight to this site called Google. I think those things are going to be good. And at that time, I think Apple was at maybe $70 a share.
Oh wow.
And so my calculations go, damn, if my dad invested that, I would have probably overdosed in Vegas with about 5 hookers and some cocaine by now. And I don't do cocaine. I don't like that shit. Never tried it because I'm afraid I'm going to like it. Because if I did cocaine, I'd probably be skinny too.
Yeah. I don't really like anybody touching my nose. I don't even. It was in my 30s before I even picked my nose. So
I don't know about all that.
I'm dead serious. I was a fucking weirdo my whole life.
Oh, speaking of nose, I do have a funny story from preschool.
Go ahead, give me.
Kindercare in
Yeah.
Virginia. I was 4 years old. No, 5 years old. Got a rock stuck on my nose. When I saw my mom, they called an ambulance. We're all outside. When I see my mom's 1987 Lincoln Continental Town Car make that slow turn, I knew I was about to get my ass beat, and I projectile vomited so hard that it actually shot the rock out of my nose. That's a funny story,
That
right?
is a funny story.
And she still beat my ass.
Have you ever caught your parents having sex or ever get caught having sex? Either one.
I've gotten caught having sex in a parking lot of new construction in high school with my girlfriend at the time.
Who caught you?
The police
What they do?
checked our IDs. We were
Yeah.
both 17,
Yeah.
and they said, "Move it out."
That's it.
Yep, that was it. My parents had split up before
Yeah.
I was old enough to understand what was going on. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't start watching HBO and Real Sex until I was like 6, and they had already been separated.
Yeah.
So
But were you ass up? I mean, what was like fully naked? What was going on in that car?
I had just had my ACL surgery, so I was sitting in the driver's seat and she was on top. I was about 2 months out from my surgery.
Was she on top when they knocked on the door?
Yep.
That's great. And you guys just froze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. And fun fact, R. Kelly's 12play2.com album had just came out, and that's what we were listening to. Drip, drip, drip.
Shrinky dinky.
Oh, yeah, real quick, man.
Bye bye. What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck. I say it all the time.
Me too.
It's hard. And fuck and then cunt is next.
How about a creative curse word that you use?
Twat waffle.
It's a good one.
Yep. And, since I've lost, I don't know how many Twitter accounts and Facebook jail and all that. If you spell the number 2 and then you spell watt like WATT and then put waffle afterwards, 2-watt waffle helps you stay out of Facebook jail while still insulting somebody.
That's very nice.
Yep.
That's a pro tip right
You
there.
got to get creative.
Next question. The first person who ever milked a cow, what was that person really up to?
I don't know. It was probably some Greek dude, and he found out how to get goat's milk. it was no. The first cow was probably somewhere in like England or some shit,
Right.
and they learned that this Greek guy squeezed these nipples on a goat once and got some white stuff out of it that was warm and felt good. So that's what he did.
Was it for to eat?
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think a farmer would have seen like the babies sucking the teats and getting the milk. So
That's a perfectly reasonable answer. And my uncle answered it basically the same way, and I don't like it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't like it.
why don't you like it? If you're seeing an animal, I mean, at the end of the day, when babies get born, the moms breastfeed them. The cow is breastfeeding.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
shit. There's guys out there that when their wife has their child or some shit, he gets some milk too when he's sucking on a titty.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the dude was he's a pervert. That's what I think. He was a pervert, or she was a pervert. I don't know.
No, the person that's a pervert is the one that stands behind the sheep with rubber boots on.
All right. Fine. You're probably right.
Well, yeah. Bodybuilders drink breast milk.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, because I think it's got like extra growth hormone and shit in it.
Yeah, it does. Right.
And if you remember the Chappelle show, Diddy wanted Cambodian breast milk. Never forget, one of the greatest shows of all time.
What was something that you thought was true, but turned out to be ridiculous?
And I was allergic to strawberries my whole life.
And you never were?
No.
When did you find that out?
When I accidentally ate something that had a strawberry mixed in with it and nothing happened.
How old were you?
34.
4 years ago?
Yeah.
You thought you what?
Because my mother was allergic to strawberries, and so I just assumed I was too.
Huh.
But no, I never was.
What's an everyday struggle for you?
Everyday struggle for me is to not just sell all my shit and disappear. Take my dogs, take whatever, and like live off the grid and no one will know where I'm at.
What makes that appealing in some way?
Peace and quiet.
Yeah. How long do you think it would last? You think you'd be able to be just alone?
Oh, yeah. During COVID, dude, I didn't see another human because I was quarantining before my mom's surgery.
Yeah.
I wasn't risking it because I knew I had to stay in the hospital with her.
Right.
So from when they started locking shit down in March, I didn't see anybody again until I went down to Virginia for her surgery in August.
Wow.
And I was perfectly cool with that.
Were you talking to people, communicating with them?
I was still working. I mean,
Right.
we still had everything was on Zoom and all that. So it wasn't like I was isolated. It's just like I didn't have people in my personal space and I was fine with that.
If you were arrested and nobody knew what it was for, what would your friends and family think happened?
Probably fighting somebody because I wouldn't shoot somebody unless it was like I legitimately needed to.
Yeah. I would probably say I would think you got in a fight. I wouldn't think you would DUI because you don't do that. You don't drive
Anymore.
anymore. Yeah. How about an embarrassing drunk story?
Fuck, man. There's just so many to choose from. I mean, the frozen Taco Bell is a good one.
It's a good one.
Frozen Taco Bell is a good one. I got one. So there was one time I may or may not have been at an establishment near Front Street in Philadelphia.
Would that be South Front Street?
Yes, South Front Street. It was, I was hanging outside the Popeyes.
Or as my children call it, the Pervert Plaza.
Why? They sell cigars.
They sell cigars.
And I decided, you know what? I'm going to walk home. So I started walking home. As I'm walking home, ooh, Dunkin' Donuts is open. Nice. Drunk. Walk into Dunkin' Donuts, get 2 glazed donuts. And then I want some fried chicken. So I walk through the KFC drive-thru, do that, ordering and shit. Then I stop at Cookies and get more alcohol.
Cookies is a bar, guys.
And then I wake up on my front steps because I couldn't figure out how to open my storm door.
What, your chicken? Were you still have your chicken? Or did you
No,
eat
I ate
shit?
that on the walk.
The glazed donuts, dude, are gone.
Come on now.
All right, yeah, good point. Next question. If you had to switch genders and you were a woman for one day, what would you do?
I would get that Rose sex toy and go to town.
The rose sex toy?
You don't know the Rose sex toy?
No, I don't.
Dude, that thing is a cheat code.
What is it?
It is literally like a rose.
Oh.
And it has like either a suction cup or a tongue flicker thing.
Yeah.
Get the suction cup. The girls like that more. Get that thing.
Yeah.
And then just stick it on your clit and just go.
So you would touch yourself.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
I mean, damn, if I was a guy in a girl's body, I'd be like, yes.
All right. 2 more questions. Relatively reasonable. Shout out to the Behind the Actors studio. If God exists and you get to the pearly gates, what would you like God to say to you?
Like that Budweiser commercial.
When it's all over, what do you want people to remember you for or by? What do you want them to remember about you?
That I was authentic. That I was me. I mean, can't be anybody else but who you are. Loyal. And just, true. I mean, at the end of the day, like Scarface said, I got my word and my balls and I don't break them for nobody.
Amen. All right, buddy. You got anything else?
I think I'm pretty good, man. This is a little fun.
Yeah, it was fun. You want to plug anything?
Yeah. Jimmy the Greeks down in Yorktown, Virginia is my brother's restaurant. If you're ever in Williamsburg, Virginia, Yorktown, Virginia, go by there. The best item on the menu is the Minos cheeseburger. Trust me, I created it.
Jimmy the Greeks in Yorktown, Virginia.
Yep.
That's where we're going. Next stop.
Damn right.
All right. And we're out. I'll see you next time. Peace.